Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 16th SHRED seminar. Today is a really cool session that we are stoked about. First of all, I'm gonna introduce you a bit to the sort of format that we are running here. So we are right now in a Zoom session that we're recording, and some of you will see this as a video on YouTube. So for you who are just joining us for the very first time, maybe coming from the BMX world and are just curious what this is all about. So we are a research and sort of explorative network called SHRED. And this acronym stands for Skating, Sustainability, Health Research, and Environmental Design. And these seminars are the project that we've been running the longest time. And with each seminar, we are sort of putting a spotlight on people who are, in the broadest sense, doing something that is healthy within the context of some stuff like skateboarding or doing arts, doing music, doing BMX, etc. And sometimes, like today, this entails actually hands-on work on materials like inner tubes, rubber, materials like wood and waste. And we want to highlight the inspiring and great work that people all over the world are doing. And the seminar series is one way we do that. The other way that it is planned and that is going to be released. I'm trying to get it ready for sort of the Christmas rush, to have it in stores for the Christmas rush. It's going to be a zine called Green Pressure. So you can follow us on Instagram, for example. The tag for that is go_shred. You can find us there, and there you can also keep up to date with the next seminars, next events that we have planned. It's all within that sort of ecosystem surrounding skateboarding, the arts, BMX, and so on. So I'm very excited to introduce Adam Hough today. Adam is a BMX lifer, currently on the road in Australia. And he developed an amazing project called the Waste Punk. So the Waste Punk is a circular economy startup transforming single-use bicycle inner tubes and fashion waste into durable handmade consumer products like reusable coffee cups. They're called the Rubber Cuppy. Very cool name. But also things like bags, wallets, bicycle accessories, and so on. So it's diverting waste from landfill, creating inspiring environmental action through design, culture, also using, of course, social media for promotion. And every product sold is funding community programs in BMX, youth engagement, and sustainability education. I've seen online that Adam was, for example, in India promoting BMX there. I'm sure he has many cool stories and insights to tell about that. So yeah, there are two questions that the Waste Punk is addressing. So for example, what problems are you trying to solve with this? This is solving the growing problem of waste from bicycle inner tubes, so a rubber compound, but also fashion offcuts and single-use materials that are currently ending up in landfills. A lot of these materials are not being recycled, and there is no viable circular system for recovering them. So upcycling these waste streams into durable, repairable, valuable consumer products like the Rubber Cuppy can have an economic and social value. And at the same time, this is reducing things that are ending up in the landfill. And then also, it's a breakthrough endeavor because of this transformative power of waste, turning waste into a source not through only industrial recycling, but through grassroots community-led upcycling that is creating immediate value. And I'm sure Adam will share with us that the sort of like community value is very deeply ingrained in the BMX community. So at the moment, nobody else is combining BMX culture, motorcycle culture, and sustainability and local manufacturing to turn waste into high-demand lifestyle products. So it's not just solving a waste problem, but the Waste Punk is also creating a movement. So this model shifts people from consumers to participants in a circular economy, proving that grassroots innovation can outperform large-scale recycling. It's scalable, low cost, local community powered, pardon me, and culturally driven, turning waste into impactful and economic opportunities. So Adam, would you like to share with us like how you got this idea? And maybe it started with you ending up with a couple of inner tubes, right?
Yeah, you're pretty spot on there. My name's Adam Hough. I guess through this journey, my personal journey to get to this stage, and calling it the waste punk. I've been like a bicycle mechanic for over 25 years, and I exited the bike industry to start working for myself because I saw the need for waste turning into products or doing community stuff. And through the journey of being a bike mechanic and a professional BMX rider for X amount of years and traveling around the world, I've seen so many different cultures and different waste streams, and then coming back to Melbourne and trying to actively participate in community projects or even YMCA events, helping kids fix bikes or even skateboards, and just generally the need and want from myself to help people, to put a smile on people's faces. Um, so, over the last 25 years, up till about 2 years ago, I was working in the bike industry, and I exited. Um, I exited maybe like 8 years ago, on and off, like trying to start the rubber cuppy, reusable coffee cup business, and I've gone through a few little journeys, working in different recycling sectors, in New South Wales for the government. Set up like a bicycle industry waste stream up there in New South Wales, and came back to Melbourne and found that I wanted to do it to my core community and help out my core community and not the big scale stuff. I wanted to keep it more local, and supporting local business, I guess, at the moment in Victoria, and collecting waste materials from local shops, which is the inner tube and fashion wastes, and getting partnerships with places that do dead stock and waste material. I'm trying to set up at the moment, still trying to set up a little bit of these waste streams, have access to all these things to build the products. I'm just at the moment hand making, customizing my own workshop. Um, how deep do I go into this? I don't know. It can get pretty technical, I guess. Uh, I've been most of my materials I've been collecting on hard rubbish to build tables, or been donated like a huge workbench where I can customize it and put up my own heavy duty wooden table on top of it. And once all that's set up, I can start doing the social media around the products and the reason behind collecting the waste, and connecting that with my the BMX charity that I want to set up, which I've also been traveling around collecting old, fairly good bike products of friends and the BMX community. Um, and hopefully early next year I can launch the Waste Punk as a business properly. Still, again, this is a part where I kind of struggle with. I'm not 100% business orientated, so like I'm trying to figure out if I'm like a non-for-profit and all this stuff, to figure out how I go down that route to like get funding to get extra funding to support the um, bicycle parts community bike builds with kids in like rural towns traveling around Australia, or up and down the east coast for the first few pilots. Um, and yeah, I'm hoping to fast track this as soon as possible. So like being on here, talking about it, trying to story tell this a bit better and get the word out there to get that, because yeah, I'm just one person, so I definitely need a little bit of guidance and help to get to the next stage. Um, Otherwise, I'm maybe putting $1 aside a day. It's going to take some time. And another part with the product sale, I guess, is selling giving a percentage to my charity. I haven't got a name for it yet, but this will fund taking those parts to rural country towns or local in Melbourne, or even annually one overseas. So I did a pilot for the BMX charity last December, so about last November, December, so coming up to a year ago now. And time flies. Trying to start your own business, I don't even know where all this time's gone over this whole last year. Yeah, I was there for in Mumbai and Delhi doing a charity. I collected previously last year about 50 kilos of BMX parts, and I did the safety screening, safety check, I guess, to see what was usable to take over that was definitely going to be repurposed and reused. So I wasn't taking any waste over, and I took one complete bike, so maybe 60 kilos of bike parts to Mumbai, and did a charity BMX jam with everyone, and did kind of like a mini jam contest kind of format with everyone, and did like for trick, for a part, or winner overall. And I know it was just going to India for the first time was mind blowing in itself, and how how people received me there. It was yeah, pretty phenomenal, and I'm really stoked that it just like was what's the word? It just went so smoothly over there. Um, I teamed up with an Indian company near Mumbai called Mascot BMX, and yeah, he helped me organize the jam over there because language barrier and stuff. A lot of people did speak a little bit of English, and yeah, I really enjoyed that, and that's where the selling the waste punk bags and accessories and bike products will help me do that again and keep doing bike events for kids, I guess in need or without a BMX, or a cheap bike where you can see the potential in this kid that has the passion for BMX and wanting to excel in the sport or hobby that I've been doing, and that I love for the last 25 plus years also. Um, can I? Is that enough? Does that make sense?
Of course. Do you had like how did you end up with the rubber copy? Did you have like certain prototypes or something, or did you like from the get-go were like I want a coffee cup, or what was that process
Yeah,
like?
that question. Yeah, I don't know. You just have like a second thought on stuff all the time. I don't know. I don't know. Being a mechanic, I've always like delved deep into the technical side of things, and so that kind of mindset is like transferred into like trying not to waste things or reuse things. As a mechanic, we fix things. So that kind of mechanical mindset has then transferred into I can turn that into something else, or um, not a bad thing. But when I was younger, we were a low income family, so we always made things last and last as long as possible. So I think that kind of like has stuck with me since I was a kid, and learned how to fix things. And then yeah, I was just seeing in the back of the bike shops, there's just like a pile of metal bikes and waste and paper and foam and all the things. And a lot of bike shops try and separate all that stuff, but the inner tubes specifically, there's only one company that can have the huge industrial machines that can turn the really stretchy tubes into mix it in with like tires and tubes and make it usable as a product, and it makes it so it's really difficult and really expensive to crumb it all down into something. But this is, to me, um, if there's a tier between like circular economy aspects, upcycling is way more beneficial and carbon positive versus recycling, because you're using a lot more energy to turn something into something else instead of the material already exists in its shape and form, which can become something else. So yeah, I've always had long hair and stuff, and working on bikes. Basically, this is the how it conceptualized. I just hated my hair getting in my face while I was trying to work on bikes. So I basically just a pair of scissors and cut up a tube and made a little hair tie, and never really thought anything of it for a few years, and had a business where we had the rubber cuppies, and I was making hair ties and gifting people hair ties. But the coffee cups seemed more like a viable option to start making my own business, and I started Rubber Cuppy as a brand in 2017, and yeah, I partnered with Australia Post with some mentors around 2017 at the start of Rubber Cuppy, and they gave me this really good idea that like they have motorcycle tubes to use that get thrown out, and so I went to one of their business hubs, and it was absolutely perfect. The shape and form was perfect to make a coffee cup. With the push bike ones, they're a little bit too thin, so they were a lot hard to manage. I'm not going to go into details, but yeah, I ended up leveling up the Rubber Cuppy and making them even more durable, and I guess turning Australia Post, the postie bike, the red postie bikes that get around in Australia, turning a bunch of those tubes into a coffee cup insulator, and it's all zero plastic. And then I started these other little projects with the government, doing the bike recycling, setting up the waste streams, and I put Rubber Cuppy aside as well as COVID kind of stopped it. And now that I'm back in Melbourne and not traveling up and down the coast, working with the government, I guess, that short stint is finished like in 2023. And so I've been permanently back in Melbourne, really trying to conceptualize how I can make this my business and my lifestyle, and combine how I can give back to the BMX community, where me wanting to be what's the word? Making products out of the waste streams that I really have been around forever, and then giving a percentage of that to the charitable part of my business, where I can start traveling annually around Australia, or even just local in Victoria for now, and yeah, teach kids to be rad. So I've only had a couple of prototypes with like wallets and bags and accessories, and I guess the hair ties, which I've been running for almost 10 years. And yeah, I'm hoping to in the next year, is that the word, scale up pretty quickly. I'm almost ready to go to start making bags and wallets, and start donating bike parts to kids.
Yeah, so one thing that directly comes to mind is like there is because I'm like coming into it from like a skateboarding perspective, right?
Yeah.
And like the big thing that I'm always trying to wrap my head around is, on the one side, there's all these like sort of also circular economy products, like people cutting up boards and then turning them into like really pretty furniture and so on. The big problem, or like phone cases and all kinds, like pendants and so on, and it's really cool. I think that is really really inspiring. But also at the same time, there's this big elephant in the room, which is like, the urethane of the wheels. So I think it's great that you're actually putting your finger in the wound, so to speak, and like working with the rubber.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is there like, do you have any ideas or do you know of any products already existing that are not necessarily fashion products, but that are made from BMX parts that can be reused as BMX parts, like maybe also as obstacles or something?
Yeah, I think as maybe it's a bit broad, but like bike tires, automotive tires, they already get crumbed and turned into like rubber surfaces or like tennis courts or playground mats and other things like that sometimes. But yeah, again, I mentioned with the tubes, they're too stretchy for the machine claws to like, it kind of clumps up in the machines, and so it's a hard material to put into those playgrounds and other surfaces. But I don't. I yeah, that breakthrough idea is I in Australia. There's I don't think there's anyone. I've done a little bit of research and I've not seen anyone that's really making anything out of inner tubes specifically. Some other companies use the tires and make uh, like a strap or something on DIY products, or like um, a belt for your jeans. That's been a like a bicycle fashion staple for since the 90s. Everyone's turned ties into jean belts and stuff like that. But I don't know anyone, or I've never heard anything about tubes in Australia getting turned into products. I do follow a company, I think it's in Mexico. Um, they do mixed media, kind of like what I'm trying to do with that stuff. So they've got they actually make they actually make shoes, which is pretty cool. They get old um, tires and stuff to make the soles and form inner tubes mixed with the tires to create the top sole of a mountain bike shoe. I forget I think I don't know. Am I allowed to say the brand name? um,
Yeah.
I think it was yeah. I don't know. I think it was Neomatic. Yeah, they've got an Instagram and a website. I don't know if they still exist, but yeah, that was something that was like that was really inspiring. And a lot of like third world or second world countries, I think they're way ahead of the curve when it comes to sustainability and recycling because they just recycle and or upcycle, turn things into the next product, the next form of that material. So I do a little bit of research in that sense to try and find companies that turn a multitude of waste streams into everyday items. It's a little bit on the low end of anyone making anything out of them that I can think of. I did just get an alert saying I got some bad reception. Um, but yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know if
but it's
that
it's back
the
again. You were shifting a bit slow, but it's back again on my end at least. But I just want to point out that's really cool that people in the BMX community are using inner tubes as belts because
the
in
tire.
the skateboard in the skateboard scene, it's the thing is you rip through laces by doing like
Yeah,
kickflips and stuff.
yep,
And
yep,
so some people have like an extra lace that they use as a belt that was
yeah. I
like
used to do
especially
that actually.
15 years ago.
Shoelace belt. I've done shoelace belts for years, and I actually got that
Okay.
idea from skateboarding because I
There
ride
you
BMX
go. There you go.
around a lot
But
of
I think a rubber
skateboarders at my
belt is
local skate
cooler.
park. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a bit more stretchy and a bit more comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I've
yeah.
seen it run up
Yeah, there's other
pretty.
people doing that. There's a few people doing the belts, and it's been a thing forever. I guess for over
Yeah.
20 years. Yeah, yeah, over 25 years. Um, I think it's hasn't. Shouldn't say it hasn't been done to death, but um, yeah, there's other things you can make, and that's where I want to put my energy into making usable accessories in that sense for bikes and motorcycles, and general sustainable people who give a shit, I guess.
Yeah. So I've been looking a bit into also like, how sustainability is marketed in, well, mostly with BMX brands. And I came across this brand, I think they're called Fly Bikes,
Yep.
and they are promoting their brand by saying that they developed this sort of like really, looks like a origami sort of way of folding the bike when they ship it, and it's like in a completely cardboard box.
Yep.
So they're not using, I think, any or very little plastic to package up their products.
Yeah.
Um, are there any other things that have been like, coming up recently that you think where you said like, whoa, wow, that's cool, or like that's interesting?
Yeah. A few brands have got onto that um, uh, packaging train where they take away, don't use the foam padding and even cable ties. They use, even if it's just like a biodegradable sticky tape, or even sticky tape's less plastic than a bunch of zip ties, or um, yeah, there's a few companies, be it BMX or other bigger bikes, like bigger mountain bike brands and stuff. They have um, pushed a bit more sustainability, because I guess most businesses these days, because everyone's online and everything's visible and transparency is a big thing. Um, I guess people get pushed also, but for the right reasons, to be a bit more mindful with their products, especially when it's around cycling. I think yeah, it's really awesome. Can't say too much about the automotive industry, but I think the motorcycle guys too can be a little bit more sustainable. Um, so yeah, I guess where I guess my focus lies is like predominantly push bikes. Not just BMX, but the broader spectrum of the cycling community, and a bit of the motorcycle community, because I also tour around on motorcycles, and yeah, I guess both my I take both my bikes at the same time, a motorbike and a BMX. So I do tour around and go to skate parks or events with both those things, and I'm really passionate about that stuff. So being mindful in both those aspects makes sense to me and aligns well with my business idea. Um, yeah. Anything else?
Indeed, do you got a question?
Um, Hi there. So my question to you, Adam, is you talked before you weren't sure what model you wanted to have as a business, whether it's a social enterprise or a normal startup and all of that. I think that's what a lot of people
Yeah.
in urban subcultures face. So skateboarding may be a little bit ahead in terms of having a lot of entrepreneurs
Yeah.
that do various businesses. Roller skating's a bit behind
Mm-hmm.
us, and I'm really not sure where BMX stands with that. Is there anybody that you have seen that has a working model where they can do this sort of creative work with BMX and sustain an income of any kind, or do it sustainably financially?
Um, yeah. Well, when I went to India to do the first pilot of my BMX charity. It was actually meant to be for someone else.
Hmm.
It was a company from Germany. I forget the name. The guy who runs this charity. Oh yeah. It's Share a Bike, Share a Smile. So I was like, I met
Yes.
this guy traveling up in Queensland a few years ago, and we just got along like a house on fire, because we both were into the same things with like exactly all the stuff that I just talked about, recycling. But my part was making stuff out of the waste. He just did a BMX charity, but he's been to like 30 countries to do his charity, but he doesn't do it in Australia because it's logistically too far. So I guess there's a hole in the business model to, I can do my thing here in Australia, but I was meant to team up with him to go to India. I just put my hand up like I want to go help the kids somewhere, and it was actually meant to be in Barcelona, and then unfortunately all their charity bike parts got stolen when they got the van broken into, had their camera equipment stolen. Long story, and they got postponed for like a year. And we got back in touch, and he's like, I'm going to Nepal if you're interested to come along and help do some bike fixing and demos, and you can bring some bike parts over if you like. And so yeah, it was like that was tracking really well until the last few months of going to India last November, and he had to pull out. And I was like, I'm not letting these kids down. And I started my own charity, try to get some GoFundMe money, and I just went with spent all my money basically to do this, and yeah, it was an awesome pilot, I guess, in that sense. I just turned it into like my own version. I was going to go there in a sense under his name and just have that experience so I can do it in Australia. But I end up it being my first pilot, which was awesome. And yeah, I learned so much from last year's experience, navigating how to do a GoFundMe and all this stuff. I just got thrown off into the deep end, and I just couldn't. I was getting messages from kids from Nepal and then it was Mumbai in India saying when are you coming over, blah blah blah, and then it ended up not being the guys who do BMX in Nepal said we have enough donations at the moment or something like that, and ended up getting a contact from Share a Smile in India, and I just basically
sounds great.
Just went to India, and
these are great, outcomes.
It was good,
amazing,
crazy, awesome adventure. Unknown, just off the seat of my pants, just doing everything I could, and just saved all my money up and tried to get some money through a charity situation. And
I think we could have more conversations maybe, and maybe you can tell me if you've had any experience with the surfing community as well. They've been doing this kind of for profit, for non-profit, sorry, and social enterprisey work with local communities for a long time. I've never had a good sit down with the surfers and said, how have you done things in Indonesia and all the other places where they do surf startups? And I'm wondering if you've talked much to the surf community.
While I was through COVID and before I moved back to Melbourne, as I said before, doing the government charity, the government recycling scheme. Just prior to that, I was working with a sub brand of Patagonia. I was volunteering for basically Patagonia, I guess, traveling up and down the coast. Surface the Climate.
Yeah, amazing. I don't.
But their social media and all that stuff. Yeah, and that was also a really good experience too. I did that for a year and a half, I think.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I mean, that's something that SSHRED, we haven't opened up to that many surfers. We have Clifton Evers, who writes about polluted leisure, and he's part of the team, and he very much writes from a surfing perspective before skateboarding. So there's lots more conversations to have, and it's really exciting to have BMX within this, and also in the future to hear what the roller skater community are up to as well.
All right, the same thing pretty much. It's
well,
wave versus a salty wet wave.
Yeah,
I think it's all connected. It all evolved from surfing, I guess. So
definitely, for skateboarding, we have to honor the lineage that we have from the surfing traditions as well. So, and the indigenous connections there, and obviously relationships to land and land care and so much more. So yeah, it's really exciting. The only other question I have is, what's something really exciting that you're looking forward to next?
Well, to be honest, I'm like really itching to make my first product. You know, I've done all the drafting, all the drawing, and
Mm.
I've done sewing in the past. Like, I don't know, I think like I've got a handle on all that stuff. I'm just like really, really keen to start that process of like documenting the first the first step of um, making the product that will then become part of the charity, which is almost like a set of wheels. You know, one circular economy thing and one circular economy. You know, the BMX recycling parts and the recycling the tubes for a product and the charity part. I think yeah, once these two wheels as a metaphor are together, um,
Mm.
I'm just like waiting to yeah, I'm like chipping away at getting started on that. And little side note, I had a bit of a win the other week. A cycling community person may have ridden with once before in Melbourne. So I jump on big bikes and go on alleyway rides and other cool things to do social events and whatever. Um, a guy shared, you must have seen my videos of wanting to do this as a business, or non-for-profit, sorry, or whatever. And he shared me a link from a hard rubbish Facebook group, and it was an industrial sewing machine that I've been like trying to get save money for, and so
Okay.
it ended up being like I don't know, like 2 hours later, I saw this post, and I was like,
Yeah.
taking the risk. I drove to this. It was a dead end street, so I'm like, I've got a good chance that it's still there, and so now I've got that's like a huge big milestone. Me having a sewing machine to get,
Yeah.
especially like a really expensive
Yeah.
heavy duty one. So like I've just fast tracked. I've just got to go home in the shed and turn it on and
Amazing.
service it and get started and start making things happen. So I should be
That sounds great. That sounds awesome.
then I've
Thank you.
just got to get a website.
Yeah, yeah, get it
All
all.
those little things will come after making the products. I'm not going to do. Yeah, I think I got to
Yeah,
do the prototypes first, and you know
yeah,
I've been making stuff for out of tubes for yeah almost 10 years now, and
yeah,
it's like my hero material, and I know how it works. So
yeah.
I think I know all the technical side of things. So I'm just ready to go gun ho and start making stuff, and you know do some gifting and give some stuff to friends and
Yeah.
get some feedback and all that kind of stuff. And
Sounds amazing.
yeah, and like here's a little bit of show and tell.
Yeah,
It's a truck. So yeah, like proofing concept
yeah,
in a sense. I made this. I used to squat for like 6 years in Melbourne,
yeah.
and I didn't have money. Also tried not spending money. Like I was going like the extreme. I put my business card aside. I just started dumpster diving full
Hmm.
time and collecting waste and turning stuff into things. And I just needed a wallet, so I found a truck tube on the side of the road and I cut
Mm,
it up. And I've had this ever since like
great.
2014, and
Yeah,
it's just hand stitched with one thread and it hasn't broken.
yeah.
Like it's like
That's really
it's like
cool.
I don't know any other brands, but like a Jag leather wallet. It's in that realm of like durable
Amazing.
leather goods, you know. And so
Yeah,
I know proofing the concept and the coffee cups as well.
yeah.
I don't know if if people on YouTube get to see this is my sustainable coffee cup, reusable coffee cup,
Really cool.
rubber cuppy. Um, yeah, and everything's all handmade, so um, yeah, it's all unique and got character, and you know, I pride myself on like a little bit of quirkiness and different
Yeah,
one-off items, and you know, um, I don't like mass-produced things and handmade because you know you know just trust
okay.
someone, but
Yeah,
they love what they do, so I
yeah.
feel like living in that realm. Yeah, like the guys that make sunglasses or stuff out of skateboard decks, they cut them up or tables or
Mm,
coffee tables. That's a
yeah,
lot of work, other than just making
yeah.
a table out of a piece of wood. It's like you got to
Yeah, it's
redo all
interesting.
this stuff. It takes a lot longer, but it's passion,
Yeah,
and it's art too. It's like
absolutely.
see the value in all those things too.
Yeah. I was chatting with some for my research actually. I spoke to somebody that is the first Black woman to run a skate company in the US, and she does really unusual and really quite cute outfits for skateboarding in for women. And Beyonce was photographed wearing one of her shirts, and it was during the Black Lives Matter sort of 2020, 21 period, and it just blew up. And she had an enormous amount of orders, and she said, you've got to be careful what you wish for, because all of a sudden she went from a home business to having, thousands of orders and people wanting their products, within the normal, 2 to 4 weeks, and not having the capacity to deliver that necessarily in the time that she is used to. And yeah, it was a blessing, and also it caused a lot of more work, and sort of threw her in the deep end in terms of business when that happened. So yeah, and there's been other sort of businesses that are similar. They've sort of blown up on social media, and same thing, the normal sort of commercial expectations of when you receive a product and how had to sort of either change their business model, or they had to, like communicate with their customers that, they would take some time given the nature of the work that they do, and the integrity of it, and, sourcing the materials that are sustainable, and the artists and everything. So I hope that everyone has that problem in some ways. It's nice to blow up, but at the same time,
exactly that notion with like Beyonce or someone like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put steps in that type of thing where it's semi slow process, like built on made on demand, or like
Yeah.
almost like a batch. Like when it runs out, you have to wait till the next run kind of thing. I'm trying to figure out that business model a bit. So it's kind of like a I don't know, like a old whiskey or something. When that batch runs out, you got to
True.
wait 2 years for the next one to come.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, like limited edition.
With that topic of the Beyonce,
Yeah.
and that just skyrocketed. I kind of had something, I shouldn't say similar, but the same type of thing happened. Ended up being on, I should say, Rubber Cuppy was on what's the program? 60 Minutes or something, or a current affair. That's the one. It was I was on a current affair, and then Shopify was like, blip, 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 blip. I'm like, what do I do? I had to hire a friend. So I totally understand. It's like you can get, if something like that happens, you kind of got to have something ready, just in case, like a just in case scenario. Because if you're doing good things, people get captured by the goodwill, or I don't know, like you'll see the potential of something like that, and especially someone as cool as Beyonce. Not my thing, but it's like
well, I mean, everybody has a Beyonce that they would like to, I guess, rock their art and their product and everything. So So who knows? But maybe Beyonce will be watching our YouTube, and we'll all be remembering this moment then.
It's going to be spotted with a rubber cuppy.
I need a rubber cuppy influencer.
That's right. Yeah. So I have no more questions, so I'm going to throw back to you, Ben.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to find a segue to ask you if you have anything else to add. But one thing that is coming to mind, that is sort of like burning in the back of my head, because I don't know how it is in Australia, but recently there's been, within the past year, I would say, there's been quite a strong peak of new bicycles. And those bicycles are associated with the food delivery economy. And people just, I don't know if they have a name, but people here just call them monster truck bikes. And they have these like really, really fat tires. And usually they're e-bikes. And the weird thing is people are using them mostly in the city because they're doing food delivery, obviously. And sometimes they're in the trains as well. So I was just wondering, like, are you coming across those?
Yeah, they're everywhere too. So I don't know, I'm not sure. I guess my brain's thinking of an answer to that question in a weird way. Like, yeah, I could probably make a delivery box out of rubber. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit too extreme or too whimsical. But it's not my area of like, I don't know, like I like the leisure and active bike community kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit funny with the e-bike um, businesses. They're everywhere. I think people should just get out of their couch and go to the shop and talk to someone and order food. Like that's me. I'm hands-on guy, so I like the real thing in a sense. Like I like going out to eat or not eating take restaurant food at home. Yeah, I like the experience. So I guess that's just my brain overthinking a scenario for convenience and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, we have a lot of them in Melbourne too, and probably 3 or 4 different companies: Deliveroo, uh, Uber Eats. And there's a couple other smaller brands that are trying to break through as well. Um, yeah, they're there's they're everywhere.
What do you think the potential is there that the rubber, I mean, it's sort of like a win and lose, right? Like you have more rubber
Yeah,
material for those like fat tires, but then also it's more waste, like more waste that is
totally.
produced,
Yeah,
right?
more physical material. Yeah, that's some. Yeah, I already have like the partnership with Australia Post to get the bigger tubes as well. But I don't know, like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. If there, I'm sure there are um, maintenance hubs and mechanics at those bikes because they're probably leased out. They go somewhere to get serviced and fixed, unless it's like some other offshore brand where, um, yeah, as a mechanic, I've had delivery bikes in a sense come into the bike shop, and we've had to fix them and charge that customer as just a customer and not as a business. So I think there's probably a bit of both. Like they just as a contractor, they buy the bike and then they just have to figure out how to fix it themselves or get us to fix it. When sometimes these bikes are so unique that they don't fit in the grand scheme of the bicycle industry. So that all the parts are so different. So it's kind of hard to repair them in a sense. So maybe that's a really good a good idea to maybe approach these companies and say, what do you do with your waste inner tubes as well? Because yeah, bigger the material, the more I can fold and cut and make things out of. So yeah, that's a good one. Actually, never thought about
Uh,
it. I
think
ride
I
past them
think
all the
maybe
time.
yeah, they're everywhere. It's maybe I guess hopefully it will inspire more projects in the future.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect segue. Do you got any future things coming up soon that you would like to share with people? Any kind of like launches or are you traveling around? Are you going to be at any skate park putting up ramps or?
Well, my BMX community and skate like my local skate park. I run the Fitzroy Bowl Instagram and do the community. Like I just did the Halloween jam last weekend. Everyone dressed up, and I built some ramps around the skate park. And I usually put a movie on one of the ramps at the end of the night. I put a projector up and play a horror movie or a movie as well. Um, uh, so yeah, I do. Sometimes I do little events in Melbourne for like uh, depending if it's the BMX skate one at my small local skate park or more BMX directed at some other skate parks. Try and bring um, the wider BMX community down into my local skate bigger bowls. I don't have personally, I just wrapped up my last one last weekend. So I have nothing in the works myself. But I'm actually driving across the top of Victoria right now. Like it's like 1,500 kilometers to get to a BMX jam in Canberra. The Backbone Act Jam. They're actually this year round they've blocked off a street in the city and they're putting ramps all through the city street. Usually it's at skate parks or some other different venues, indoors or whatever. So this one's an outdoor event, which is going to be really awesome. And then I'm unsure what the next BMX jam is at, where I'll be at anyways. And yeah, I'll have to wait till next year to think about doing it. I'm always thinking about making another BMX jam and bringing people together, but also like teaming up with people to do other jams and build stuff out of wood at extra ramps at skate parks. Yeah, at the moment it's just next weekend is I think one of the last big BMX jams in Australia for the year. I'm sure there'll be some more little ones popping up. Oh, actually no, I lie. In the start of December or the end of November, there's a BMX jam by a company called Oldham Made in Tasmania, and that's at 3 locations in Tasmania. End of the month. They do it through their Instagram. It's a BMX frame company down in Tasmania. It's Oldham Made, but in between Oldham and Made is an I, the letter I. He told me the story about why he has an I in the middle of Oldham Made. But yeah, he's annually doing like a BMX jam in Tasmania, so I'm gonna head down there end of the month as well. And that's another place where a lot of people in the BMX community forget about or don't go too often is to Tasmania. It's absolutely beautiful and there's amazing skate parks and nature reserves and stuff down there. So it's just, I don't know, I guess logistics make it difficult to get there because the boat, Spirit of Tasmania has moved location. It's very expensive, or getting a car to go over there. It's like, yeah, can be a little bit of a logistical nightmare. But they've got a discount on the website at the moment, so it's cheap to get tickets to go to Tasmania. So I'm definitely going.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Adam. That's another great segue because we're going to be continuing into the next month talks about BMX and like from and within the BMX community. And it's going to be maybe about another place that is not very much known, or maybe people do not travel to ride BMX. And it's going to be a session where we have Dr. Yin Ding sharing her insights with us, and it's going to be called Everybody's East Lake, and it's about BMX in gray spaces and polluted leisure in China, and particularly about the BMX scene in Wuhan. I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong, but it's about them building a ramp into the lake and jumping into the lake and that turning into a huge event that it's sort of being appropriated. So yeah, very, very cool stuff, like grassroots in its origins, and then sort of like a pushback from the economy, and then the scene is reacting to that again. So it's sort of a bit like a whole, a whole drama, a whole thriller in and of itself. So that is going to take place on the 12th of November. It's going to be 8 p.m. Sydney time, 5 p.m. Beijing time, 10 a.m. in Berlin, and 9 a.m. in London.
I'll definitely.
Yeah, so something to look forward to. And thanks again so much to Adam. Thanks so much to Indy for co-hosting the session. And yeah, looking forward to catching up in the next one.
Thank you. And stop recording now.
Thank you.